Have you ever sat in the waiting room of a job interview, nervously tapping your foot, rehearsing what you're going to say? Your palms are sweaty, your heart's pounding just a bit faster than usual, and your mind is running through a million thoughts. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I forget something important? How should I even start introducing myself? Trust me, we've all been there. In today's video, I want to help you answer that all-important question. How do you introduce yourself in a job interview and actually make a lasting impression? We're not just going to talk about memorizing a script or listing your resume like a robot. Oh no. We're going deeper. I'm going to walk you through the story, the structure, and the strategy behind a powerful self-introduction. One that feels natural, confident, and true to who you are. Because here's the truth. Your introduction sets the tone. It's the first handshake of your professional story. And when done right, it can be the difference between blending in and standing out. Let's begin at the very beginning. And I mean your beginning. Let me tell you about someone. We'll call her Maya. Maya was fresh out of university, degree in hand, ambition in her eyes, and a whole lot of nerves in her stomach. She had studied marketing, done a few internships, even ran a successful campaign for a student-run business. But every time she got to the interview table, something happened. She'd sit down, smile nervously, and then the interviewer would ask that classic question, "So, tell me a little about yourself." And Maya would freeze. Not completely, of course. She'd say her name, mention her university, maybe mumble something about being really passionate about marketing, but it never quite landed. It sounded like every other candidate. Generic, forgettable. And afterward, she'd walk out feeling like she didn't show them who she really was. Have you ever felt that way? That you're more than what you managed to say in those first 2 minutes? That there's more to your journey than a line on a CV? Well, that's what we're going to fix today, because you do have a story worth telling. And with the right approach, you can tell it in a way that's professional, impactful, and totally you. Think of your self-introduction like an elevator pitch. You've got a short window, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, to show the interviewer who you are, where you're coming from, what you've done, what you're good at, and why you want this job at this company. It's like walking into a movie trailer where you are the star, and the interviewer is the audience deciding whether they want to see the full film. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I fit all that into such a short time? That's where storytelling comes in. We're going to structure your introduction just like a great story, with a clear beginning, middle, and end. And yes, we'll also sprinkle in a few tips, examples, and language techniques that'll make your English smoother and more confident, even if it's not your first language. So here's what we'll cover in this video. First, how to confidently open with your name and background and make it memorable. Then, how to describe your education, work experience, or transferable skills in a way that aligns with the job. And finally, how to express why you want this role, with honesty, clarity, and a bit of passion. By the end, you'll have a flexible, powerful formula that you can adapt to any interview, whether you're a student, a career changer, or someone re-entering the workforce. And I'll even give you a few example scripts to inspire your own. But first, let's break down the beginning of a great self-introduction. How do you say hello with confidence? How do you make your name and your background feel like the start of a compelling story? Let's dive into that next. All right. Imagine you've just walked into the interview room. You shake hands, you sit down, and then comes that moment. Tell me about yourself. You smile, breathe, and begin. My name is Maya Johnson, and I'm a recent graduate from City University, where I studied marketing and digital media. Throughout my degree, I've always been fascinated by how brands connect with people, especially in the digital space. During my studies, I had the chance to intern with 2 different companies, where I helped manage social media campaigns and analyze audience engagement. That's where I really discovered my passion for turning data into creative strategy. Now stop and notice something. Maya didn't just list facts, she told a mini story. Her name, her course, her interests, an experience, and a moment of realization. And that's what makes it memorable. In the next part of this video, we'll explore how to take your own experiences, whether it's school, work, volunteering, or even personal projects, and connect them to the role you're applying for. We'll also talk about how to highlight your skills in a natural, confident way, without sounding like you're reading off your CV. So stay with me. The best is yet to come. So far, we've talked about how to begin your introduction by clearly stating your name and background and using just a little storytelling to hook your interviewer from the very start. Now it's time to move into the heart of your self-introduction, the middle. This is where you talk about your experience and skills. But here's a secret most people don't realize. It's not about saying the most impressive thing. It's about saying the most relevant thing. Let me explain. Remember Maya? After practicing her opening, she was feeling more confident. She could walk into the interview room, introduce herself, and even make her background sound compelling. But the next part still tripped her up, because Maya had done a lot of different things: internships, part-time jobs, volunteer projects, and she wasn't sure what to include, or how to talk about it without rambling or sounding uncertain. What Maya needed, and what you need, is a strategy. And here it is, SEA, Situation, Experience, Achievement. This little formula helps you explain what you've done in a way that's organized, meaningful, and relevant to the job you're applying for. Let me show you how it works. Step 1. Situation. Briefly describe the context. Where were you working or studying? What kind of project or role were you in? Step 2. Experience. Explain what you did. What tasks, responsibilities, or challenges did you take on? Step 3. Achievement. Share the result. What impact did your work have? Did you learn something valuable? Did you help the company or team succeed? Here's how Maya used it. Maya's example, spoken in a confident but conversational tone. One of my most valuable experiences was during my internship at a digital marketing agency last summer. I was part of a small team working on a campaign for a local fashion brand. My main role was to manage the brand's Instagram content and track engagement metrics. Over 3 months, I helped grow their follower count by 25%, and one of our posts even went semi-viral. It was shared over 2,000 times. Notice how that's not just a list of tasks. It's a story with impact. That's what interviewers want to hear, because they're not just asking, "What have you done?" They're really asking, "What can you do for us?" So think back on your own experiences. It doesn't have to be a big-name company or a paid job. It could be a school project where you led a team, a part-time job where you improved something, a volunteer experience where you learned how to manage people, or solve problems. Even a personal project, like building a website, starting a blog, or organizing a community event. And for each one, ask yourself, what was the situation? What did I do? What was the result? Here's another tip. Look closely at the job description before your interview. Pick experiences that align with what the company is looking for. If the job needs someone who's great with data, talk about a time you analyzed something and made a smart decision. If they need someone creative, share an example where you brought a fresh idea to life. Now, let's talk about skills. This is where many candidates start listing things like, I'm a good communicator. I work well in teams. I'm detail-oriented. That's fine, but it's not enough. You need to show, not just tell. Instead of saying, I'm a good communicator, say, in my last role, I was the main point of contact between our marketing team and a client. I regularly presented updates, gathered feedback, and made sure everyone was on the same page, even during tight deadlines. Boom. Now that's communication, and it's proven. Instead of, I work well in teams, try. During university, I worked on a group research project with 5 other students. I helped coordinate meetings, manage tasks, and keep our work organized. We ended up getting one of the highest scores in the class. That's teamwork, with evidence. So here's a quick formula you can use when talking about skills. Skill plus context plus result. It's like saying, I have this skill, and here's how I've actually used it. Before we move on, here's one more key idea. Confidence matters. You don't need to sound perfect. You don't need to memorize a speech. But you do need to believe that your experiences matter. Because they do. Even if you're just starting out, even if you think your background isn't special, remember this. Your story is unique. And with a little structure, you can tell it in a way that makes interviewers want to know more. So now, we've built the middle. You've got your background. You've got 1 or 2 strong experiences. You've shown off your skills with real examples. What's next? It's time to bring it all home by answering one of the biggest questions of all. Why do you want this job? That's what we'll cover in Part 3. The end. We'll explore how to express genuine interest in a role, connect your values with the company's, and leave the interviewer thinking, yes, this is someone we want to work with. You've made it to the final piece of your self-introduction, and honestly, it's one of the most powerful. This is the part where you answer that simple, yet surprisingly tricky question. Why do you want this job? Now let's be real. Most people answer this with something vague. I think your company is great. This job sounds interesting. I want to grow in my career. And while none of those are wrong, they're also not very memorable. Remember, the interviewer is trying to see how you fit into their world. So this is your chance to connect the dots between who you are and who they're looking for. Let's go back to our friend Maya, shall we? After nailing her name, background, and experience, she used this closing line. I'm really excited about this opportunity because I've always admired how your brand builds authentic connections with younger audiences. That's something I care deeply about. I've worked on similar campaigns in the past, and I'd love the chance to bring my creativity and data-driven thinking to your team. Notice how personal and targeted that is? She's not just saying, I want a job. She's saying, I want this job at this company for a meaningful reason. So how do you find your reason? Here's a simple exercise. Before your interview, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What do I admire about this company or team? Maybe it's their mission, their culture, their innovation, or even just the way they treat their employees. 2. How does this role align with my skills or passions? Think about what excites you. What part of the job description made you think, yes, I'd love to do that? 3. What can I bring that adds value? This is your unique selling point, your combination of experience, mindset, and skills. Now let's put that together in a few strong examples. Example 1, for a tech job. I've always been fascinated by how technology solves real-world problems, and your company is doing incredible work in accessible app design. With my background in software engineering and UX testing, I'm excited to contribute to a team that's making digital spaces more inclusive. Example 2, for a teaching role. What drew me to this role is your focus on student-centered learning. I've seen firsthand how tailoring lessons to individual students can transform a classroom, and I'd love to bring my energy and adaptability to your teaching team. Example 3, for a customer service role. I enjoy helping people, and I thrive in fast-paced environments. I know your company values great customer experience, and with my experience handling high-volume service calls and solving problems efficiently, I believe I'd be a strong fit for the team. And finally, once you've said why you want the job, it's time to close your introduction. Here's a graceful way to end. That's a little bit about me. I'd love to tell you more about how I can contribute to your team. Or, I'm really looking forward to learning more about the role and how I can bring value to your company. Simple, confident, friendly, professional. Let's put it all together now. Your self-introduction should follow this natural flow. 1. Beginning, your name and background. My name is, and I'm your role, field, with a background in. 2. Middle, your experience and skills. One of my most valuable experiences was, here's what I did, and the result was. 3. End, why you want the job. I'm excited about this opportunity because, and I'd love to contribute by. That's it. But don't just write it once and forget about it. Practice out loud. Record yourself. Say it in the mirror. Say it to a friend. The more you rehearse, the more confident and natural it will sound. And remember, this isn't about being perfect. It's about being prepared. It's about being yourself, with purpose. Every interview is a new chance to share your story, and if you approach it with structure, clarity, and a little heart, you'll not only make a great first impression, you'll make a lasting one. So whether you're applying for your first job, changing careers, or just brushing up your skills, remember this. You've got value, you've got experience, and you've got a story worth telling. Now go tell it, with confidence. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below with your questions or your own introduction. I'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and good luck in your next interview. You've got this.